Today Damrada was dressed in his military uniform, a rarity considering his usual merchant's disguise. That was when Yuuki began to worry. Where's Misha? She's dead. The hall fell silent. Everyone went on guard, sensing something disturbing. They had all been in many life-threatening situations in their time, so they were sensitive to the signs. What do you mean, Damrada? I mean exactly what I said. She was killed by Kondo a moment ago. The instant he heard the news, Yuuki felt the lingering uneasiness in his chest explode. That uneasy feeling that he had overlooked something. Now he knew what it was. He and Damrada hadn't known each other for long, but their relationship ran deep. They shared in countless evil machinations that could never be revealed to the public. It was his assistance that helped Yuuki take down the Echidna Club, once the overlords of organized crime. They then established Cerberus together, with Damrada working tirelessly to build it up. That's what Yuuki thought, but maybe he had it all wrong. In fact, everything was going exactly how the Empire wanted it. Cerberus was built from a core group that Damrada recruited for the purpose. Its mission was to weed out the talented from the incompetent, and its network was spread around the world to find and bring in new potential talent. Protecting lost otherworlders was part of that. And they hadn't started this just recently, it had been going on for a while, even back when the Echidna Club was dominant. In a way, didn't it mean that Yuuki himself was discovered by Damrada in the same manner? He was in the business of scouting strong prospects and bringing them under his wing, and as he worked on that, Damrada discovered Yuuki. If Damrada himself emerged from his undercover position, he'd be too conspicuous, after all. Yuuki was just selected as a charismatic public figure. He thought he was using Damrada, but it was the other way around. But that didn't mean Damrada double-crossed him. His loyalty was genuine. Perhaps someone had manipulated Damrada in order to make the ever-suspicious Yuuki trust in him. Thinking about it that way, it seemed to answer all the questions he had up to now. Picking up on all this, Yuuki let out an exhausted sigh. Well, you sure put one over on me. So when did this all begin? What do you mean? Damrada sounded indifferent. He used the same tone as always. But now Yuuki was positive something was off. Damrada didn't seem to be playing dumb. He honestly didn't understand this question. The man himself, in other words, didn't even realize he was being manipulated. No wonder, huh? If he didn't realize it was happening, he wouldn't know to keep an eye out for it. Yuuki recalled their last meeting. Damrada had insisted he didn't betray anyone, and Yuuki felt that was the truth. Maybe something had been done to him after that, even. If he could trust his own instincts, it seemed that Damrada's manipulation happened only recently. Right? I'm the one who decided to trust him, and I'm not going to say anything about that now. The important thing is, what does whoever sent Damrada here want from us? Someone was controlling him. That much Yuuki was certain of now, and based on that, he surmised that they were in a very delicate situation. For all he knew, they'd fully surround his mansion in the time it took to deal with Damrada. Yuuki was lost in thought, Kuguli quietly analyzing the situation herself. But the revved-up audience was enraged by Damrada's behavior. How dare you disrespect Sir Yuuki? Alias shouted, denouncing him. Damrada Tornud said, what are you thinking? Are you here to betray us all? Betray? Damrada aloofly replied. What a strange thing to accuse me of. From beginning to end, my allegiance for His Majesty, the Emperor Lidor, has been unwavering. Tist. That's called betraying us. Arius spat. Damrada was notorious for being corrupted by money, a fact that some of his companions looked down upon him for. Some even openly talked behind his back about how he'd surely betray them all for the right price. That's why the group here was more angered than surprised by this revelation. Tornud was the first among them to act, lifting Damrada up by his shirt and shouting at him. Quit screwing with us. You found me. You said that I should live for the greater good instead of die in the mines. I was so grateful to you. So why did you do this to me? This was actually Tornud's attempt to protect Damrada. Before anyone else could act, he wanted to confront his benefactor himself and figure out what was going on. But to Damrada, this was probably unwelcome attention. With a gentle squeeze of Tornud's wrist, he flicked his hand back, manipulating his muscle tension to reverse the hold on him. Tornud, do you remember what I said to you? His eyes were so cold that they chilled the normally level-headed Tornud to the core. What? He replied, grabbing his wrist. I told you to be strong for the greater good, didn't I? And this power is all you have to show for it. All his force converged on a single point. It made Tornud's wrist creak, and then shatter, all in an instant. You? What did you do to my wrist? With that groan, Tornud backed away from Damrada, rubbing his wrist as he used one of the healing potions he always kept on hand. Damrada stood there at ease, refraining from a second attack, but there was nothing off guard about him. In a world where some monsters can repair broken bones in an instant, you could never let up until you were sure your opponent was neutralized. A failure to realize this would be lethal. Yuuki narrowed his eyes toward Damrada. He knew this man was powerful. You didn't get to rank that high among the single digits without being able to outclass a room full of champions like these. The question was, did he possess an ultimate skill or not? And if so, how good was he at using it? Will my anti-skill work on it? That's the thing. Depending on the answer, he may have to kill Damrada. He needed to know, so he didn't dare stop anyone from confronting him. "You're the Emperor's dog, aren't you?" shouted Ares. "I thought you were just a money-grubbing bastard, but you tricked us all. Why would a coward like you just walk in here alone and expose yourself?" Then things began to unfold. "He's right, Damrada. I owe you a great debt. So I'm going to make your death painless." Now Tornuit was ready to challenge him with everything he had. Too late. But despite Tornuit grabbing the battle mace hanging from his belt and heaving it up with both hands, Damrada had no problem ducking the strike. In a clean, natural movement, he dived toward Tornuit's chest and gently pushed out the palm of his right hand. Despite the light, airy move, it hit his target with a deep, heavy impact. This was Spiral Penetrator, a type of Fajin martial arts move that strikes its opponent with focused, explosive force. This fighting spirit is given directional kinetic energy that penetrates both armor and muscle, destroying the target from the inside out. Its power is proportional to the amount of infused fighting spirit, and if Damrada was the one focusing it, he could count on it having the lethal force of a tank round. His opponent crouched down, coughing up blood, legs too weak to stand back up. How could he? That single blow had just destroyed all of Tornuit's internal organs. It's crazy. You were that strong. Well. Judging a book by its cover. The classic move of a conceited pile of muscle, supported by a massive ego. Were you laboring under the assumption that you outgunned me just because I hired you as a guard? I asked you to be strong. Humans are no fools. They don't need to rely on arcane, esoteric abilities. They can become as strong as they want, if they train hard enough. Just like I did. Then Damrada shot his leg backward, executing a roundhouse without looking behind him. The attacker, aiming for his blind spot, unable to react in time, promptly died of a broken neck. Damrada made it look like stepping on an ant, but this was Ares, a man whose strength even Yuuki praised. He possessed the unique skill murder, coupled with the twin skills of silent movement and concealed presence, the perfect combination for assassination missions. This made him a natural killer, one good enough to rank number 44 in the Imperial hierarchy. But despite his specialty in anti-personnel ops, Damrada wasted no time at all dispatching him. As I think I've just shown, leaning on your abilities is not good enough. When push comes to shove, the thing you can rely on the most is your well-trained body and mind. If you ask me, all of you here are useless. He was choosing harsh words, and those in the room who'd never been ridiculed by even their martial arts instructors were indignant as they heard them. It was like he was trying to teach the weak a lesson here, and it infuriated them. They all glowered at Damrada, eyes blazing with murderous intent. In the midst of all this, Yuuki was still calmly, silently observing. Now he had his conclusion. I knew it. Damrada didn't betray us. Someone was controlling him. Someone on the Emperor's side, maybe, considering Ares's position in the Imperial Guardians. He didn't kill Tornuit, but against Ares, he showed no mercy at all. That's all the proof I needed. So Damrada still has his free will, but he can't do anything that'd be inconvenient for whoever's ruling over him. Isn't it? Whatever controlled Damrada must have been a very powerful force, indeed. Nonetheless, Damrada was still attempting to find a way to communicate his current situation to Yuuki. Based on that, Yuuki tried to work out the best solution. Okay, guys, eyes over here. Switch to a retreat operation right now. I'm leaving all authority to Kigali, so all of you drop everything and regroup with the composite division. Boss. We don't have to run away. Let's take care of this traitor, and then we can rise to action right now. No. Yuuki immediately rejected Alia's suggestion. He still had his usual carefree smile on, but his eyes weren't so jovial as he scanned the room. Damrada's stalling for time. That's why he's going on and on like this. It's what he's been allowed to do, okay? Allowed to do? Kigali asked. Yuuki nodded. Right. Damrada didn't double-cross us. Someone's controlling his mind, and that someone's trying to wipe us out right here. This revelation was met with mixed reactions, but it did help his comrades regain their sense of judgment. Holding back the desire to kill Damrada, they focused their gazes on Kigali, the second in command. She had come to the same conclusion Yuuki did. She knew they were in a critical situation. The alarm bells in her mind told her so. Now, with Yuki's instructions given, she knew what she had to do. Things were urgent, and she knew it was no time to argue with him. We'll abandon this place and head for the composite division's encampment. But what about Sir Yuuki? Oh, don't worry about me. I doubt Damrada would let me leave anyway, so I'm gonna have to deal with him here. You guys get going. Yuuki turned his back to the crowd so he could face Damrada. We're off, Kigali ordered. Roger. Everyone realized what they had to do. Whether Damrada betrayed them or not didn't matter now. Once they saw Yuuki turn around, they knew he was ready for anything. The time for debate was over. Right now, as all the superpowers in the room knew, job one was just to survive. Aelia carried the fallen Tornad. The sight of a dainty little girl picking up a muscle-bound giant was chuckle-inducing, but no one was laughing. Ahila cast some magic on Tornad as they joined the line of fleeing rebels, and then, in perfectly orderly fashion, they all blended into the darkness of the night.